Hi students, welcome to GDC classes. As you all know that the notification for RRB pharmacist exam has been released. In order to prepare you for the exam, we are starting a new series, that is the Tejas series. As you can see, it is a series on MCQs for the RRB pharmacist exam. So we will be discussing some very good MCQs on various topics of the anatomy and physiology of the human body. And particularly in this session, we will be discussing MCQs on introduction to anatomy and physiology, terminology, cell, and also the tissues of the human body. So let us start. The first question: the study of organs or viscera is also known as. So what do we call the study of organs or viscera? So what is the question asking? So what do we call the study of organs or the viscera? That means the intestines, stomach, kidneys, liver. You can also call them viscera. So what do we call the study of those organs or the viscera? The options are osteology, splanchnology, cytology, or ophthalmology. So these are the options. And the answer is splanchnology. Splanchnology is the study of organs or viscera. And coming to the other options, osteology means it is about the study of bones. Cytology is about the study of cell. So from the name you can say it is about the study of the structure of the cell, the function of the cell, and also its organelles. Ophthalmology is it is about the study of eyes, how our eyes and associated structure will help us with the vision. So here is the explanation. Histology, so these are some other branches. Histology is about the study of tissues. Osteology is about the study of bones. Myology, study of muscles. Splanchnology, study of organs, or you can call them viscera. Neurology, about the nervous system. Cardiology, heart. Ophthalmology, eyes. And endocrinology, it is about the endocrine glands. So the different endocrine glands present in our body, the different hormones produced by them, and also about the actions of those hormones. Otology is about the study of ear. Odontology is about the teeth, and hematology is the study of blood. Now coming to the next question: study of structure and function of cells. So just now we have discussed. The options are myology, pathology, cytology, and histology. So what is the answer here? It is cytology. Coming to the remaining options, myology, as you know, it is about the muscles. Pathology means it is about the study of nature, causes, and processes of diseases. So for example, what it will tell us means pathology, it will tell us what will cause the disease, like which microbe or which pathogen will cause the disease. After causing the disease, what it will do to the body. So the study of all these things is known as pathology. And cytology, it is the study of structure and function of cell, its organelles. And histology is about tissues. Now coming to the third question, study of blood is known as hematology, pulmonology, cardiology, osteology. What is the answer here? Hematology. Hematology is the study of blood. Pulmonology, it is about the study of the pulmonary system. Pulmonary system means the lungs. Cardiology is about the heart. Osteology is about the bones. Arthrology is about the joints, like the synovial joint, elbow joint, and hinge joint, saddle joint. So there are some different joints like ball and socket joints. So it is about the study of joints. Arthrology. Myology is about the muscles. So we have discussed all these earlier. Now coming to, before going to the next question, what does the blood contain? The blood contains different formed elements along with the plasma. It contains red blood cells, white blood cells, platelets, and the plasma. Now coming to the fourth question, what is human anatomy? So what we will study under human anatomy? Options are: human anatomy is the study of functions of the body parts, or it is the study of structure of the human body, study of bacteria and viruses, or it is the study of diseases and its causes. So what is the answer? It is about the study of structures of the human body. So anatomy of the human body will tell us about the different structures that will make up the human body. It will tell us what the human body is made of. It also tells us about the morphological characteristics of different parts of the body, like its location, structure, size, like that. And let me also tell you the physiology. Okay, what we will study under the human physiology? We will study about different life processes, how they will happen, like the excretion, respiration, reproduction, digestion, how they will happen. So anatomy will tell us what the human body is made of, and physiology will tell us what the human body does. Okay, now coming to the other options, the study of functions of the human body or the body parts, it is physiology. Study of bacteria and viruses, it is known as microbiology. And the study of diseases and its causes, it is pathology. So here's the explanation. Human anatomy is the study of internal and external structures of the human body and the relation between its body parts. So that is about the anatomy. Now the next question, the condition of equilibrium in the body is known as. Options are hemostasis, homeostasis, translation, and transcription. So what is the answer? It is homeostasis. What is homeostasis? It is a mechanism which will maintain a stable internal environment despite the changes present in the external environment. So the body, it will try to maintain a stable environment inside despite any changes that happen in the external environment. So for better understanding, I will give you an example. So if the outside temperature is very cold, obviously our body temperature, it will start to, it will start to fall, and our body, it becomes cold, and we don't want that. What our body will do, it will try to conserve the heat so that the body doesn't it doesn't face the hypothermia, it doesn't become much cold. What the body will do, it will try to conserve the heat. It will it will for example, it will try to decrease the secretions of the sweat glands. It will try to constrict the blood vessels under the skin so that the heat present within the body can be conserved. And if you talk about the higher temperatures, if the external temperatures are very high, what the body will do, the body will try to secrete more sweat so that the sweat can somewhat cool the body. And also it will dilate the blood vessels present under the skin so that the heat present within the body can be radiated off, and the temperature can come back to the normal levels. So that is the homeostasis. Whenever there is a change in the external environment, the body's environment will be influenced, and the the body will always try to maintain a stable internal environment despite the changes in the external environment. So when the normal conditions get deviated, the body will sense that, and it will send the message to the control center, and the control center will stimulate the effector organs or effector parts, and correction will be done, and the body's condition will be normal again. That is homeostasis. Next question, during anaphase 1 of meiosis, what will happen? The options are homologous chromosomes separate, non-homologous autosomes will separate, sister chromatids separate or non-sister chromatids separate. So what will happen during the anaphase 1 of meiosis? So there are two types of divisions that the cells undergo in our body. One is the mitotic division and the other one is the meiotic division. Mitotic division is also known as equational division, whereas the meiotic division, it is also known as reductional division. So what is the difference here? In mitosis, there will be no change in the number of chromosomes. That means if the parent cell is diploid, that means diploid means it is having 23 pairs of chromosomes. So human beings, cells of human beings have 23 pairs of chromosomes. And if the parent cell is said to be diploid, the daughter cell will also be diploid in nature. There will not be any reduction in the chromosomes when it comes to the daughter cell. Whereas in the meiosis, that is in the reductional division, there will be a reduction in the number of chromosomes. If the parent cell is diploid, the daughter cell will become haploid. So the number of chromosomes are decreasing. Diploid means 23 pairs of chromosomes. Whereas haploid means it contains only 23 chromosomes. So now what is happening in anaphase? One, homologous chromosomes will separate. So what is a homologous chromosome? Let me show you. So this is a single chromosome. Here a structure in the middle, there is a structure called centromere. Okay, this is a single chromosome. If another chromosome is attached here, another chromosome, then it is known as a homologous chromosome. So two chromosomes together is known as a homologous chromosome. And what is happening in anaphase? The homologous chromosomes are being separated. So that is what happens in anaphase 1 of meiosis. So these are the different phases of meiosis. There is prophase 1, then comes the metaphase, anaphase, and then telophase. And again in prophase, there are different stages: leptotene, zygotene, pachytene, diplotene, and diakinesis. What happens in prophase? It is a very long and complex phase. In metaphase, the arrangement of chromosomes at the equator will happen. So the chromosomes will be arranged in a line at the middle of the cell. And in anaphase, the movement of the homologous chromosomes without centromere breakage. So here what is happening? Two chromosomes are present together, and we are calling that as a homologous chromosome. In anaphase 1, one chromosome will be moved to one side of the cell and the other chromosome will be moved to another side of the cell. In telophase, the chromosomes separated will be distributed to each daughter cell. So that is about the anaphase of meiosis 1. Next question. The stage in which daughter chromosomes move towards the poles of the spindle is anaphase, metaphase, prophase, or telophase. So in what stage the chromosomes will separate and move towards the opposite poles of the cell? The answer is anaphase. Okay, in anaphase, here in the picture you can see the at the opposite poles of the cell there are these structures called centrosomes. Okay, these are centrosomes, and they within centrosomes centrioles are present. So these structures, these are the centrioles. They will form mitotic spindles or microtubules which will attach to the centromere of the chromosomes, and they will drag the chromosomes towards the opposite poles. Okay, they will separate in so as I told earlier, in prophase the chromatin fibers will condense into paired chromatids. So chromatin fibers, they will condense and they will form chromosomes. If they decondense, then the DNA will be in the form of chromatin fibers. If the chromatin fibers condense, they will form chromosomes. So in prophase the chromatin fibers will condense to form chromatids. And in metaphase, as you know, the chromosomes will form a metaphase plate in the center of the cell. And anaphase, the centromere will split and the chromosomes or the chromatids will be pulled towards the opposite sides of the poles. In one thing, remember one thing, the meiosis, it will happen in two stages. One is meiosis 1 and the other one is meiosis 2. What happens in meiosis 1 is the homologous chromosomes, that means the two chromosomes, one chromosome will come to one side and the other chromosome will come to other side. Whereas in meiosis 2, in anaphase 2 of meiosis 2, the homologous the chromosome, it has two sister chromatids. So here, this is one sister chromatid and this is another sister chromatid. So in the anaphase 2 of meiosis 2, there will be a split between the sister chromatids of a single chromosome. Okay, in meiosis 1, the homologous chromosomes are separated, whereas in the meiosis 2, the sister chromatids of a single chromosome are separated. So remember this thing. And telophase, the nuclear envelopes, the nucleoli, they will all reappear, and the chromosomes, they resume the chromatin form, that means they will decondense and chromatin fibers will form. And at last, cytokinesis will occur, that means the division of the cell into daughter cells. So this is about the meiosis. Now the next question, which type of epithelial cells form the stratum germinativum? So there is a correction here, it is not stratum granulosum, it is stratum germinativum. So what type of epithelial cells will form the stratum germinativum? Options are cuboidal, ciliated, columnar or squamous. So what is this stratum germinativum? Uh, it is a layer of the skin. So the skin is it is made up of three layers. One is the epidermis, then comes the dermis, and the deep layer hypodermis. And the epidermis, it is again divided into it is again subdivided. The stratum basal, which is also known as stratum germinativum, and the stratum spinosum, stratum granulosum, stratum lucidum, and stratum corneum. So the epidermis of the skin is subdivided into 5 layers. And the deepest layer of the epidermis of the skin, what it is made of? The answer is columnar cells. So columnar cells are present in the stratum basal or germinativum layer of epidermis of the skin. So here is the explanation. Stratum germinativum is an example of columnar epithelium. It is the innermost layer. So the stratum basal layer, or you can also call it stratum germinativum, it is the innermost layer of the epidermis layer of the skin. Now coming to the next question. Name the tissues that are involved in the formation of membranes. Okay, what is the tissue that is involved in the formation of membranes? So here also there is a question, correction. Please do it. The epithelial tissue and also the connective tissue. Both epithelial and connective tissue are involved in the formation of membranes. So here, epithelial membranes consists of both epithelial tissue and the connective tissue to which it is attached. And epithelial membranes, they are of two types, the mucous membrane and the serous membrane. So mucous membranes are the ones which are present in the the respiratory tract, in the bronchi, trachea. Okay, whereas in the digestive tract also, in the esophagus, in the stomach. Whereas the serous membrane, they are present in the lungs. So the lungs, they are covered by the serous membrane. And also the heart is also covered by the serous membrane. So these are the examples. Now coming to the next question. During which phase enzymes and proteins are synthesized? So during which phase of the cell cycle enzymes and proteins are synthesized? So there are two phases in a cell cycle. One is the interphase and other one is the cell division phase, or you can call it as the mitotic phase. In interphase, it is again subdivided into G1 phase, S phase, and G2 phase. And mitotic phase, it is nothing but the prophase, metaphase, anaphase, and telophase. So first the interphase will happen, and then the cell division phase, that is the mitotic phase, will occur. So what it is asking, in which phase the enzymes and proteins are synthesized? The answer is G2 phase. Okay, G2 phase. In G1 phase, what will happen? The cell will grow in its size, and it will prepare itself for the replication of the DNA. The nucleolus, it will disappear. Okay, some other changes, they will happen in order to prepare itself for the replication of the DNA. And in the S phase, the DNA will be replicated. Okay, the DNA and also the centrosomes. Centrosomes means it is a structure which is present on the opposite poles of the cell. So these are the centrosomes. Here, these are the centrosomes. The DNA and the centrosomes, they will replicate. One centrosome will be present in a cell. It will replicate, and two centrosomes will be formed. So in the G phase, it will grow. The cell will grow in its size, and it will prepare itself for the replication phase. In S phase, the DNA and the centrosomes will replicate, and in the G2 phase, the cell will again, it will somewhat grow in its size, and it will prepare itself for the cell division. Okay, that is the mitotic division. In the So this is the interphase, that is the G1, S, and G2 phase. This is the prophase, metaphase, anaphase, telophase, and these are the daughter cells. So as per the question, the enzymes and proteins, they are formed in the G2 phase of the interphase of the cell cycle. Now coming to the next question, which phase separates the products of chromosomes and distributes the same into daughter cells? So when the chromosomes, when they split during the anaphase, in which phase they will be distributed into the daughter cells? So when after the splitting of the chromosomes, either the homologous chromosome or a single chromosome, the products of the chromosomes, in which phase they will be distributed to the daughter cells? The answer is M phase. Okay, during interphase, the DNA replication will happen, and the cell will prepare itself for the cell division. And during prophase, what will happen? Prophase, what will happen? The chromatin fibers will condense into paired chromatids. Nucleolus and the nuclear envelope will disappear, and centrosomes, they will move towards the opposite poles. So M phase, during the M phase, that is during the cell division phase, the chromosomes will be distributed into each daughter cell. And G1 phase, it will prepare itself for the DNA replication. Now, which of the following does not belong to the class of covering and lining epithelium? So, among these options, which do not belong to the class of covering and lining epithelium? That means the epithelial layer which will line the body cavity, which will line the different organs of the body. So, among these, which doesn't belong to that category? The options are simple squamous epithelium, glandular epithelium, simple cuboidal epithelium, and columnar epithelium. Sorry. Give me a second, please. Okay. So the options are simple squamous epithelium, glandular epithelium, simple cuboidal epithelium, and simple columnar epithelium. So what is the answer? Glandular epithelium. So the explanation. The glandular epithelium, it is involved in the secretion. Okay, it is involved in the secretion and release of different secretory products. So the glandular epithelium forms the glands, whereas the squamous epithelium, cuboidal epithelium, columnar epithelium, they will line the other organs like the stomach, the liver, kidney, and the body cavities. Whereas the glandular epithelium, it forms the it secretes the sweat from the sweat glands, saliva from the salivary glands like the parotid gland, submandibular gland, submaxillary gland, breast milk from the mammary glands, hormones from different endocrine glands like the pituitary gland, adrenal gland, pineal gland, and the digestive enzymes are secreted by the pancreas, which is a mixed gland, or you can call it heterocrine gland. The exocrine portion of the pancreas will release the digestive enzymes into the digestive tract, whereas the endocrine portion of the pancreas will produce hormones like the glucagon and insulin. So the glandular epithelium is the answer here. Now, what is the function of somatic cell division? The options are: same number of chromosomes will be replicated, it will replace the dead cell, same kind of chromosomes will divide. Okay, same kind of chromosomes will be passed on to the daughter cells. So what is the answer? All of the above. The answer is all of the above. So there are two types of division, as I have told you earlier. One is the somatic cell division, that is the mitotic division, that is the mitosis, right? And then the reproduction cell division, that is the meiosis. In mitosis, the number of chromosomes or the kind of chromosomes, they will not change. If the parent cell is having diploid, if the parent cell is diploid in nature, the daughter cell after division, the daughter cell will be produced, which is also diploid in nature. Whereas in the reproduction cell division or the meiosis cell division, the number of chromosomes will be decreased coming to the daughter cell. So if the parent is diploid in nature, the daughter cell will be in haploid nature. So that is about the somatic cell division. Somatic cell division, what type of cells will undergo somatic cell division? The skin cells. So whenever there is any damage or any cut to the skin, how the wound will heal? The cells, they will divide and eventually they will heal the skin, they will heal the injury. And example of a reproduction cell division or the meiosis division, it is the gametes, the ovum, the sperms. They are formed through the meiotic division. The sperms, the ovum, they are haploid in nature. Okay, remember. Now coming to next question, the best stage to study the shape of the chromosome is. So during the mitosis, there are four phases, right? Prophase, metaphase, anaphase, and telophase. So among these four phases, in which stage the shape of chromosomes can be studied very clearly? The answer is anaphase. Okay, in generally metaphase, the morphology of the chromosomes can be studied very clearly. But particularly the shape of the chromosome can be studied in anaphase. So morphology of the chromosomes can be studied in the metaphase, whereas the shape, particularly the shape, can be studied in anaphase of mitosis. So here these are the different shapes of the chromosomes which can be observed during anaphase. This is acrocentric, which is eye-shaped. So you can see this is somewhat eye-shaped. And this is telocentric, which is somewhat L-shaped. And this is metacentric. This is V-shaped. And submetacentric, it is J-shaped. Okay, acrocentric I-shaped, telocentric L-shaped, metacentric V-shaped, and submetacentric, it is J-shaped. Okay, shapes of the chromosomes can be studied clearly in anaphase of mitosis. Now, during which phase of interphase the cell is metabolically active? I think we know the answer for this question. It is G1 phase. So in G1 phase, the cell, it will increase in its size, it will grow, it will prepare itself for the replication of the DNA. Now, as you know, in S phase, the DNA will be replicated along with the centrosomes, and G2 phase, the cell will grow. Enzymes and proteins necessary for cell division will be synthesized. Okay, these and all will happen. Now, coming to the next question, name the tissues which detect the changes inside and outside the body and respond by action potential. The options are epithelial tissue, connective tissue, muscular tissue, and nervous tissue. So, if there is a word called action potential, what does it mean? It is about the nervous system. So, nervous system, they will act by creating some action potential, some stimulus. Okay, the answer is nervous system. The nervous tissues help in maintaining homeostasis by detecting changes inside and outside the body and providing response in the form of nerve impulse or action potential. So, for example, if we touch any hot object, our nerves, our sensory nerves, they will detect, they will sense the hotness of the object, and the stimulus will be created, and that sensory information will be sent to the brain. So that is how the nervous system will work. Now, which of the following cells is found in the cartilaginous tissue of the body? Basophils, mast cells, osteocytes, or chondrocytes? So what is the answer? Chondrocytes. So chondrocytes are the cells that make up the cartilage in our body. Now, coming to the basophils, these basophils are nothing but they are granulocytes. Granulocytes are a type of leukocytes, that is white blood cells. So granulocytes, they are of three types: the basophils, neutrophils, and eosinophils. So these are granulocytes, leukocytes. White blood cells, they are of two types. One is the granulocytes and the other one is the agranulocytes. Granulocytes are again divided into three types: the basophils, eosinophils, and neutrophils. Whereas coming to the agranulocytes, they are again of two types: the monocytes and the lymphocytes. Lymphocytes means the T lymphocytes, B lymphocytes, like that. And mast cells, these are the cells which will release histamine and heparin. Osteocytes, obviously, they are the bone cells. Okay, these are the cells present in the bone. Okay, so what is the cell present in the cartilage? Chondrocytes. Now, choose the tissue below that is one of the primary types of body tissues. So there are some primary types of tissues in our body. Among these, what is one of the four primary tissues? Epidermal tissue, epithelial tissue, interstitial tissue, or osseous tissue? The answer is epithelial tissue. There are four primary tissues in our body. One is the epithelial tissue, then the connective tissue, muscle tissue, and nervous tissue. And here, the epidermal tissue means it is the skin tissue. It is also a type of epithelial tissue. Now, interstitial tissue means connective tissue. Osseous tissue means it is the bone tissue, which is also a type of connective tissue. Epithelial tissue acts as a covering, and it also controls the movement of materials across the surface. So epithelial tissue, it generally it forms a covering like the skin, and it also forms covering to the body cavities, also to different organs. The epithelial tissue, it is always present on the surface. Now, connective tissue, they support and protect the organs. Connective tissue, they will form different organs and muscles. So connective tissue, they are subdivided into areolar tissue, dense tissue, irregular tissue, sorry, the loose tissue, dense tissue, and then the fluid tissue. These are all the connective tissue types. And muscle tissue, you know, they form the muscles. Nervous tissue, they form the neurons. Now coming to the next question, ribosomes are made of. So what is the ribosomes? Ribosome is a cell organelle. What is it made of? RNA, it is made up of only RNA, RNA and proteins, RNA, DNA and proteins, nucleic acid, proteins and lipids. So what is the answer? RNA and proteins. RNA and proteins will make up the ribosomes. Ribosomes are granular and small dot-like structures present within the cell with a diameter of 15 nanometers. So these are very small structures. And ribosomes are made up of 35% proteins and 65% ribonucleic acids. RNA is present in ribosomes. So the RNA present in the ribosomes is known as ribosomal RNA. Types of ribosomes. Ribosomes they are of two types. One is the ribosome which is freely present in the cytoplasm, and the other type of ribosomes are the ones which are present on the rough endoplasmic reticulum. So they are freely present or they are bound to the endoplasmic reticulum. Functions of the main function of the ribosome is to synthesize proteins. So there are two processes. One is transcription and the other one is translation. A segment of DNA will be copied into RNA. This process is known as transcription. And this RNA will be translated into proteins by the ribosome. And this process is known as translation. So this is how the ribosomes will form the proteins. Coming to the next question, which of the following cell organelles are called digestive bags? The options are nucleus, lysosome, Golgi apparatus and mitochondria. What is the answer? Lysosomes. So lysosomes are known as the digestive bags, or you can also call them as suicidal bags of the cell. Lysosomes are membrane-bound vesicular organelles found throughout the cytoplasm. So they are a single membrane-bound cell organelle, and the lysosomes are formed by the Golgi apparatus. The enzymes synthesized in the rough endoplasmic reticulum are processed and packed in form of small vesicles in the Golgi apparatus. So here what it is saying, lysosomes are known as the digestive bags or suicidal bags, or you can also call them as garbage system of the cell. And nucleus, as you know, it is the brain of the cell. It is the control center of the cell. Golgi apparatus, it is you know after the enzymes, proteins, after being synthesized in the endoplasmic reticulum and also by the ribosomes, they are packaged. Okay, they are packaged in the form of vesicles in the Golgi apparatus. Okay, the in Golgi apparatus, the proteins and different enzymes, they are packaged, they are modified into vesicles. Mitochondria, obviously, it is the powerhouse of the cell. Why? Because in the mitochondria, the ATP molecules are produced, and ribosomes, of course, their only primary function is to produce or synthesize proteins. Next question, which is responsible for the movement of chromosomes during cell division? So the options are Golgi apparatus, lysosomes, peroxisomes and centrosomes. So what is the answer? Centrosomes. Centrosomes are the structures which will move the chromosomes. So I have told you in the cell the centrosomes, in the cell the centrosomes will be present on the opposite sides of the opposite poles of the cell. So one centrosome will be present on one side, the other will be present on the other side. They will produce mitotic spindles which will move, which will split the chromosome and it will drag towards the opposite poles. So centrosomes are involved in the movement of chromosomes during cell division. So Golgi apparatus, we know it is involved in the processing, packaging, modifying the proteins, enzymes and the lipids. Lysosomes, they why they are known as the suicidal bags, because they will degrade the macromolecules or degrade the worn out organelles. So if any organelle, if the cell doesn't need it, the suicidal bags, they will that is the lysosomes, they will degrade those organelles. And also they will remove the excess secretory products, secretion of granzymes, melanin and serotonin, also one of its functions. Peroxisomes, so these are the functions of peroxisomes. Now next question. Cristae in mitochondria serves as a site for. So mitochondria, it is the powerhouse of the cell in which the ATP or molecules are produced. In cristae, so cristae, it is a part of the mitochondria. And what the cristae will what will happen in the cristae of the mitochondria? Respiration and synthesis of ATP, protein synthesis, macromolecules breakdown. What is the answer? Respiration and synthesis of ATP. So, in the presence of oxygen, the ATP molecules will be synthesized in the cristae of mitochondria. So, different cycles like the Krebs cycle, electron transport chain, oxidative phosphorylation. So, these and all beta oxidation, these cycles, they will occur in the mitochondria, and as a result of these cycles the ATP molecules will be produced. Cristae contains many enzymes and proteins which are involved in respiration and synthesis of ATP molecules. So so I have told you about the cycles, right? The ETC, the Krebs cycle. So for these cycles to happen, a number of enzymes are required, and these enzymes are present in the cristae. So that's why ATP synthesis will happen in the mitochondria. Which organelle works as the synthesis of proteins? So which organelle is involved in the synthesis of proteins? Mitochondria, ribosome, cytoskeleton or nucleus? So what is the answer? It is very obvious. The ribosome. Mitochondria is involved in the production of ATP. Ribosome will produce proteins. Cytoskeleton, it will try to maintain the shape, or it will provide some structure. It will support the cell, the cytoskeleton. The nucleus, it is the control center. It will control the functions of the cell. Now, which is the structural and functional unit of the living body? Very basic question. Tissues, cells, organ systems or organs. So the cells are the functional, structural and functional units of the living systems, the human bodies. The cell is the structural and functional unit of a living body. Many cells, they will group together and they will form the tissue. Tissues will group together and form organs. Organs group together and form an organ system. So the cells, they will group, they will form a tissue. The tissue, many tissues will group together. For example, they will form the lungs and along with other structures like the bronchi, trachea, they will form an organ system, that is the respiratory system. So cell, tissues, organ and organ systems. So this is the hierarchy of organization, hierarchy of organization of human body. The hardest substance in the human body is it bone, cartilage, enamel or the ligaments? The answer is enamel. Enamel is said to be the hardest substance in the human body. And what is this enamel? It is a white shiny substance which covers our teeth. Okay, which is the outermost layer of our teeth. So this is the hardest substance. And the second hardest substance is the dentine. Okay, which is also present in the tooth. So below or immediate to the enamel layer, the dentine will be present. So tooth enamel is the hardest substance in the human body, but it needs you to help it strong and fight against cavities. So the enamel, it forms a protective covering to the teeth. And if cavities occur, if tooth decay occurs, the enamel layer, it will be damaged, it gets degraded. And because of this, the environment, the food we eat, it will enter into the teeth and it will cause further damage. So in order to prevent any contact between the outside environment and inside environment of the teeth, the enamel, okay, the enamel will form a protective layer. If it gets degraded, then tooth decay and tooth infections will occur. So enamel is the hardest substance in the body, not the bones. Now, plasma membrane. Plasma membrane is made up of proteins and carbohydrates, proteins and lipids, proteins, lipids and carbohydrates, proteins, some nucleic acids and lipids. So what is the answer? Proteins, carbohydrates and lipids. So the composition of the cell membrane, it is composed of three macromolecules, the proteins which constitute about 55%, lipids 40% and carbohydrates 5%. So the proteins constitute a larger volume, will make up a larger volume of the cell membrane. So the cell membrane, it is made up of proteins, lipids and carbohydrates. Proteins will make up a larger volume of the cell membrane. The term cell was given by, so who gave the term cell? It is Robert Hooke. So Robert Hooke is a philosopher and an architect who is credited to be one of the two scientists to discover microorganisms in 1665 using a compound microscope that he built by himself. The other scientist who observed the microorganisms is Anton van Leeuwenhoek. This question is also very important. So Robert Hooke and also Anton van Leeuwenhoek separately, not combinedly, separately they observed the micro microorganisms under a compound microscope. But the term cell was coined by Robert Hooke. Lysosomes are known as suicidal bags because, so lysosomes are known as digestive bags, garbage system or suicidal bags of the cell. So why the lysosomes are known as the suicidal bags? For what reason? Is it because of its parasitic activity, presence of food vacuole, hydrolytic activity and catalytic activity? So what is the answer? It is hydrolytic activity. The lysosomes, they are small spherical or oval bodies which are surrounded by a single membrane. So in the cell there are both single membrane bound structures and double membrane bound structures. The ribosome, the lysosomes, peroxisomes, these are single membrane bound structures. Okay, whereas the mitochondria, the Golgi apparatus, these are double membrane bound structures. And the lysosome, it contains hydrolytic enzymes which have the ability to break down many kinds of biomolecules, if the cell produces secretions in higher amounts, and or if there is any worn out organelle which is not required by the cell, these will be degraded by the hydrolytic enzymes present in the lysosomes. So the lysosomes will help to get rid of the molecules or organelles that are not required by the cell. So that is why it is known as the suicidal bag. And also uh, if any bacteria enters the cell, the hydrolytic enzymes, they will also help in destroying that bacteria. Okay, that is a different thing. The muscle that is located in the wall of internal organs is hollow internal organs. So what is the type of muscle present in the walls of hollow internal organs? Hollow internal organs means the organs which have some space within them, like the esophagus, the stomach. Okay, in these organs, what is the type of muscle present? Skeletal muscle, smooth muscle, cardiac muscle or voluntary muscle? The answer is smooth muscle. So the stomach, the esophagus, the trachea, the blood vessels, what is the type of muscle present? It is the smooth muscle. The urinary bladder, these are the organs which are made up of smooth muscle. Whereas the heart, Heart, it is not made of smooth muscle. It is a skeletal muscle. Okay. So here are the examples: the liver, the pancreas, the intestine, and the urinary bladder. These are made up of smooth muscle tissue. Now coming to the last question of the session: which of the following is not a cell found in connective tissues? The options are adipocytes, chondroblasts, keratinocytes, and osteoblasts. So the answer is keratinocytes. So keratinocytes are the cells which are present within the skin, and the skin, it is an epithelial tissue, not a connective tissue. And adipocytes are the cells which will store fat molecules. Okay, the fats, the lipids, they are stored in the adipocytes. Chondroblasts, these are the cells which will produce chondrocytes. Chondroblasts are immature cells. They will produce chondrocytes which make up the cartilage of the body. And osteoblasts, they also produce the osteocytes which make up the bones. And here keratinocytes, it is not a connective tissue, it is an epithelial tissue present within the skin. So these are some very good MCQs on the cell tissues, and also some introduction to the anatomy. And we will try to discuss some more questions, some more MCQs on different topics of HAP in the coming sessions. Thank you.